Hi everyone and welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to dive into a very fascinating concept that can actually change the course of your language learning journey. So the concept that I'm going to talk about today is called comprehensive input. Whether you are starting anew or you are just trying to enhance your skill, this kind of approach can actually make a whole world of difference. But before we dive into who can actually benefit from this kind of approach, let's start it by breaking down what is comprehensive input. So what exactly is comprehensive input? This term might sound a little bit technical, but the concept is pretty straightforward. Comprehensive input is a language learning approach that's based on the idea that the best way to learn a language is to expose yourself to the kind of language that is just slightly above the current level of understanding, but it still have to be comprehensible. This means that you can understand the general meaning of what you are reading or hearing, while you don't necessarily have to grasp every single word that you are hearing or reading. For example, if you are learning Korean and you're starting out by listening to a few traveling podcasts, if you can understand the general meaning of the podcast, which is about 70 to 80% of the whole content, then you are in the right spot. The content should be hard and challenging enough that it would push you to learn new words and learn new structures, but it still shouldn't be too hard to the point that it will overwhelm you. So here's the core concept. Language acquisition happens the most effectively when you are exposing yourself to the language that is, first of all, engaging, and second of all, have to be a little bit above your current level of understanding. This approach will help you naturally pick up new words, new grammar, and the pronunciation without explicitly studying them. Now that we have got an idea on what comprehensive input is, let's move on to the next part. Who exactly needs this kind of approach? Comprehensive input is a game changer for everyone who is studying or learning a new language. But if I do have to pick one or two, it is particularly beneficial for beginner and intermediate learners. Here's why. If you are just starting out, comprehensive input will help you build a very strong foundation. You will get exposed to a lot of language in a way that is easy to understand and can help you reinforce what you have learned. And for those who already have some basics, this approach can help you deepen your understanding and also expand your vocabulary in a meaningful context. Think of it as having a personalized and immersive experience in the target language without having to move to a different country. Moving on, we are going to answer the question, when and how should you apply comprehensive input in your learning? I'm going to give you a very simple guide as follows. First of all, start early. You need to incorporate comprehensive input at the very beginning of your learning journey. The earlier you immerse yourself in the language, the better. And as I explained before, you just need to listen to podcasts, to music, watch some TV shows or dramas in the target language that is just slightly above your current level in order to incorporate this approach in your study. The second step is to choose the right material. I'm sorry if the raining sound outside is a little bit noisy. I've closed all the window I can, and this is the best I can do. Anyway, moving on to the second step, you need to choose the right material. So what is the right material? The right material, first of all, have to satisfy the condition of a comprehensive input content, which is just slightly above your current level, but still have to be understandable. And second of all, it needs to be something that is relevant to your life, to your likings, because engaging with the topics that is of your likings can help you keep your language learning journey effective and also interesting as it goes. The third step is consistent exposure. You should make comprehensive input a daily habit. You don't need to make your practice session long and sporadic. Just keep it short, maybe 15 to 20 minutes every day, and that can make a whole lot of difference in the long term. And the final step in my guide is to adjust the difficulty. As you study and as you grow, as you learn, you will find yourself improve day by day. And if you keep on using the same material, the same level that you are using at the start of your journey, you're going to find it boring and maybe a little bit underwhelming. So you need to adjust the difficulty of the content that you are exposing yourself to so you can keep your language learning journey continuous and a little bit more challenging day by day. And last but not least, what kind of positive effect you can expect from using this approach, that is comprehensive input. The first kind of positive effect that you can expect is improved comprehension. Think of comprehensive input as a kind of workout for your brain. You are working your brain muscle to actually grow and become stronger. So by constantly exposing yourself to the language, you will be able to understand the language in both spoken form and written form. The second positive effect that you can expect is enhanced vocabulary. By using comprehensive input, you'll be able to pick up new words and new grammar in different contexts, which will help with retention. This is less about memorization, but more about getting to hear and read the words and the vocabulary and the grammar that are used in real life situations. The third positive effect that you can expect is better fluency. As you become more familiar with how the language flows, your writing and also your speaking will become more natural, and you will find yourself starting to think and respond in your target language. And the final positive effect that you can expect is increased motivation. As you engage yourself with different kind of content that you are actually interested in, you'll find that learning language is not that boring, that you will keep yourself studying because you get to expose yourself to the kind of content that you love. I'm going to share a little bit of personal story. When I first started out with my Korean language learning journey, I used to read a lot of fan fictions and manhwas. Yeah, those fan fictions. You can think of some. If I haven't mentioned before, I used to work as a manhwa's translator. Back then, I used to make like 10,000 won every chapter. Some of them were very challenging because they were like ancient manhwas. I have to look up a lot of words that are not used anymore to actually be able to translate that manhwas. I can think of like 4 or 5 works under my belt that were like bestseller for a while on that application. The application was called like Tori Comics, I think. The last I heard of that application was that the company decided to close the Vietnamese market down because they weren't make any profit in that market, so decided to terminate the whole market. It was good, it was great back then, and I appreciate the work that I got. And even though it didn't last long, I worked as a translator for like probably almost 2 years. I did learn a lot from all the work that I got to translate. I think that it was very interesting because it got me engaged in my work and also in my learning, which is rare because I'm not really into learning at all. So to wrap things up, I do have a few tips that I want to share to maximize the effectiveness of comprehensive input approach. The first tip is you need to be patient because learning is not an easy deal. You cannot become great at something after like 1 or 2 days of learning. You have to give yourself time and continuously learn in order to see some progress in yourself. My second tip is to mix it up because as I have explained, if you keep on using the same material for your language learning, you will eventually find it very boring and you might bore yourself out of your own journey. So you need to mix it up a little bit, some of this, some of that, and you will find yourself engaged and more interested in the learning process. And my final tip is to stay engaged. You need to pick the kind of content that can actually keep you interested in learning and in studying, in reading and in writing. For example, my case, I read a lot of fan fictions, which was my passion at a point. I don't read it right now. I don't read it anymore. Anyway, thank you for joining me today. I hope that this video can help you understand a little bit more about comprehensive input and how it can help you boost your own language learning journey. If you find this video helpful, please like and subscribe to my channel, and you can share this video to people who you think will benefit from it. And if you do have any questions or your own experience with comprehensive input, please leave it down below in the comment section and I will get to it as soon as possible. Thank you, and I will see you in my next video. Goodbye!